When your own children reject you, it feels like the world is turning against you. You might ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why is this happening? But let's stop for a moment and step back. We live in a world that constantly seeks approval, validation, and acceptance. From social media to our closest relationships, we are taught to measure our success by how others perceive us. But what happens when the people we love the most, the ones we've invested so much into, turn their backs on us? It's painful. No one is going to sugarcoat that. But here's the first thing to understand. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It's not about who you are as a person. Your value, your identity, isn't dependent on whether or not someone approves of you. Rejection, especially from those closest to us, is an experience we all go through. And it's what we do with that rejection that truly matters. When your children reject you, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to reflect. Instead of letting the pain cloud your judgment, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? What can I do better next time? And how can I deepen my relationship with them moving forward? Rejection can serve as a mirror, showing us areas where we need to change, grow, or approach things differently. But here's the hard truth. Rejection, especially from our children, is about them, not you. It's about their growth, their journey, and their struggles. As parents, we often think that we have control over their lives. We believe that if we do everything right, they will turn out how we expect them to. But we have to recognize that they too are navigating their own path. Sometimes rejection happens because they are dealing with their own confusion, pain, or uncertainty. And in those moments, it's crucial to give them space. So, how do you respond when this happens? The answer is simple: love unconditionally. Show up for them, even when they can't see the value in you. Be there, not because you need them to reciprocate, but because your love is greater than their rejection. God's love for us is unconditional. It's constant, never wavering, even when we fall short. It's in those moments of pain and rejection that we are called to love without condition. The key is to love them without expecting anything in return. But God also speaks to you in this moment. He reminds you that you are not defined by this rejection. His love for you is steadfast and your worth is secure. Your identity is in Him, not in the opinions of others. God's perspective is bigger than any temporary setback you face. When the world says you're not enough, when your children say they don't need you, God says, you are enough. I made you for a purpose, and I've got bigger plans for you. Even in the face of rejection, we are called to move forward. It's not easy, and it's not instant, but it's necessary. Keep your heart open. Keep your faith strong. Trust that this moment of rejection is part of a larger picture, even if you can't see it yet. Sometimes rejection isn't a door closing. It's simply a lesson being learned and a path being prepared for something better down the line. So if you're facing rejection from your children, understand that you are not alone. You are loved. You are enough. And this rejection, as painful as it is not the end of your story. It's merely the beginning of a new chapter. Rejection, especially from our children, is one of the most difficult emotional experiences a person can face. It brings a sense of pain and confusion that can feel overwhelming. We naturally invest so much love, energy, and hope into our children, expecting that our care and efforts will be reflected back in the way they treat us. When that doesn't happen, it can make us question ourselves, our actions, and our worth. It's important, though, to take a step back and understand that rejection is not a reflection of who you are as a person. It's simply an experience, one that doesn't diminish your value. The first thing to understand when facing rejection is that it's a universal experience. Every human being at some point in their life faces rejection from others, whether it's from a spouse, a friend, a colleague, or yes, even from children. It's a natural part of human dynamics. Just because we face rejection doesn't mean we have failed or are not worthy of love and connection. It's crucial to remember that rejection does not define us. How we react to rejection and what we learn from it is what ultimately shapes our character and growth. It's easy to slip into the mindset that we must have done something wrong for our children to reject us. We might replay every conversation, every action, wondering where we went wrong or where we failed them. While self-reflection is important, We must also acknowledge that rejection from our children may not be due to something we did or didn't do. Our children are on their own journey, and sometimes that journey leads them to pull away as they seek independence, struggle with their own personal issues, or simply don't yet have the emotional maturity to process their feelings in a constructive way. In these moments, it's important to remember that their rejection is about them, not us. It's about where they are in their development, their struggles, and their need for space to figure out who they are. Rejection is not always a sign of failure. Often, it's an indication that they are going through something that has little to do with us as parents. When facing this rejection, rather than focusing on the negative emotions it stirs within us, we can reframe the situation as an opportunity to grow. In those difficult moments, we can choose to reflect on ourselves, our actions, and our intentions. Are there areas where we could improve as parents? Are there ways we can better support our children? Even if they are rejecting us in the moment, growth comes from embracing these tough experiences and asking ourselves the hard questions. What can we learn from their rejection? How can we approach them differently, not out of fear of being rejected again, but with a deeper understanding of their emotional needs? Rejection also opens up space for personal growth. As painful as it is, it challenges us to confront our own insecurities, our need for validation, and our sense of self-worth. We might realize that we have been placing too much of our value in our relationships with others, particularly our children. When that validation is withheld, it leaves us feeling lost or inadequate. But this is the perfect time to shift our focus inward. We must learn to find our validation in things that are not dependent on others. Things like personal growth, inner peace, and the strength of our character. Rejection has a way of teaching us how to be more resilient, how to be less dependent on external sources of affirmation, and how to develop a deeper, more lasting sense of self. In these moments of pain, it's also essential to embrace the concept of unconditional love. While rejection can feel like a rejection of us as people, it's important to remember that love is not about expecting something in return. Unconditional love means loving without the expectation that we will be validated, reciprocated, or treated in a specific way. When our children reject us, they may not realize that our love for them remains constant. It's difficult, but this is the time when our love should be expressed without conditions. We show up for them, not because we need them to reciprocate, but because we are their parents, and our love for them is deeper than their momentary rejection. True love is patient and enduring. It doesn't require perfection. It simply requires presence and commitment. Even if they cannot see or feel that love right now, our actions will speak volumes, and over time, they may begin to understand and appreciate it. It's also important to acknowledge that rejection doesn't mean the end of the relationship. Relationships evolve and go through phases, especially parent-child relationships. Just because our children reject us now doesn't mean they will always feel that way. People grow, change, and mature, and so do relationships. What seems like rejection today could be the beginning of a necessary space for them to grow and figure things out. It's crucial that, while we give them the space they need, we remain available, loving, and supportive when they are ready to reconnect. Rejection from our children can also be a catalyst for reflection on the bigger picture. Not just our relationship with them, but our broader purpose and faith. In moments of rejection, it's easy to lose sight of our true value. But God's perspective reminds us that our worth is not defined by how others view us. Our worth is secure in who we are as children of God. He sees the bigger picture, and even in the midst of our pain, He is with us, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves. The rejection we feel from others is never the final word on who we are. Instead, it's just one part of a much larger story that God is writing for us. In conclusion, rejection, particularly from our children, can be an incredibly painful experience. But when we look at it through the lens of opportunity, an opportunity to grow, learn, and reflect, it becomes something that doesn't define us. Instead, it refines us. Rejection doesn't change our worth or our capacity to love. It challenges us to love even more deeply, unconditionally, and without expectation. And in the end, that's what will make us stronger and more capable of embracing the full richness of life and love. Rejection, particularly from our children, often feels like a profound personal failure, but it's crucial to recognize that it's not a reflection of our worth as individuals. It's a difficult reality to face, especially when we've poured our love, energy, and resources into raising our children. We spend years guiding them, teaching them, and trying to give them the best foundation for life, all in the hope that one day they will appreciate the efforts we've made. However, when that effort is met with rejection, the emotional toll can be significant. This emotional pain is very real, but it's important to understand that rejection is a common human experience. It happens to everyone at some point, whether from a spouse, a friend, or, in this case, a child. It does not diminish our inherent value or our capacity to love and connect with others. The truth is that we cannot control how others, including our children, respond to us. No matter how much we try to guide them, help them, or influence their choices, they are on their own unique journey. And sometimes, that journey involves periods of distance, disagreement, or even rejection. As parents, it's easy to internalize these moments of rejection as failures. We may think, if only I had done something differently, if only I had said the right words, given more support, or been more present. While it's always valuable to self-reflect and consider how we can grow, it's equally important to remember that rejection from our children doesn't mean we've failed them or that we are bad parents. Children, especially as they grow into adolescence or adulthood, are constantly shaping their own identity. In these phases of their lives, they may push away from their parents as a way of asserting their independence, and this is a natural, though painful process. It's also essential to recognize that rejection can stem from their own struggles and internal conflicts that have nothing to do with us. Children, particularly teenagers, are often navigating difficult emotions and personal challenges that can make them distant or non-receptive. Their rejection is not a judgment of our worth or love, but rather a reflection of where they are in their own emotional journey. It can be a phase they need to go through to develop their own sense of self, and in many cases, they may not fully understand the emotional impact their rejection has on us. This is a vital point to understand because it helps shift the focus from a place of personal hurt to a place of empathy. Recognizing that their rejection is not necessarily personal allows us to remove some of the sting and maintain perspective. We can separate our sense of self from the actions or emotions of others, knowing that their rejection may not be about us at all. When we experience rejection, it is an opportunity to reflect on how we can grow from the experience. It may be tempting to wallow in hurt or to engage in self-blame, but a more productive approach is to use the situation to reflect on how we can evolve, both as individuals and as parents. This moment of rejection can be a mirror that shows us areas of improvement, not just in how we relate to our children, but in how we view ourselves. We may ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? What could I do differently? How can I be a better support for my child even if they are rejecting me? This process of self-reflection allows us to gain valuable insights into ourselves. Perhaps we realize we need to communicate more effectively, be more patient, or let go of unrealistic expectations. Alternatively, we may learn that we need to set boundaries and not overextend ourselves in an attempt to win their approval. Additionally, rejection offers a chance to reassess our emotional dependence on our children for validation. It's common for parents to derive a sense of self-worth from their children's love and approval. After all, we invest so much time and energy into raising them, and we want to feel that all of our sacrifices were worth it. However, it's crucial to remember that our self-worth should not be based solely on the opinions or behaviors of others, even those we love most. Rejection from our children can serve as a reminder to find our value in things that are more constant, such as our inner sense of purpose, our faith, or our personal growth. When we are able to detach our self-worth from their reactions, we find greater freedom and peace, knowing that we are valuable and worthy regardless of how our children respond to us. This process of growth also invites us to practice patience. Rejection doesn't necessarily mean the end of the relationship or the end of our ability to be a positive influence in our children's lives. Relationships, especially those between parents and children, evolve over time. Children may reject us in one phase of their lives but return to us in another phase. The key is not to give up or withdraw, but to continue offering love even in the face of rejection. This is where unconditional love comes in. True love doesn't demand reciprocation or approval. It simply exists, providing comfort and support even when the other person is not receptive. In addition, rejection from our children can deepen our sense of empathy and understanding. It helps us realize that love is not about control or manipulation, but about giving others the space they need to grow. It teaches us to trust in the process of life and to believe that even when things seem difficult or painful, there is potential for healing and reconciliation down the line. We must trust that our love, even when it's not immediately recognized or appreciated, is not wasted. Instead, it becomes a foundation upon which future growth and connection can be built. In conclusion, when we experience rejection from our children, it's essential to remember that it's not a reflection of who we are or our ability to love. Rejection is part of life, and it's a natural part of the process of growing and maturing. Instead of viewing it as a personal failure, we should see it as an opportunity for growth, both in ourselves and in our relationship with our children. By reframing rejection in this way, we can move forward with a sense of peace and understanding, knowing that love is a long-term investment that over time can bear fruit in unexpected ways. The power of unconditional love is perhaps one of the most profound forces in human relationships, especially when it comes to the connection between parents and children. It is in moments of rejection, frustration, or conflict that the true essence of unconditional love can be tested. Rejection from our children can stir up feelings of hurt and confusion, but it is during these very times that the ability to love without condition is the most necessary. Unconditional love is not about expecting something in return. It's about offering love freely, without the strings of expectation or demand. It's about showing up for someone even when they may not want you there, and continuing to love them when they may not seem to appreciate it. This concept can be challenging, particularly when the rejection we face feels personal. However, understanding and embracing unconditional love can transform how we approach these painful moments. First, unconditional love requires a shift in perspective. It means recognizing that love isn't something that must be earned, nor is it something that should be withdrawn when someone doesn't meet our expectations. As parents, we often think that if we do everything right, our children will return our efforts with affection, gratitude, and respect. But when rejection occurs, it can feel like all of our efforts have been in vain. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if they don't appreciate what I've done for them, why should I continue? However, unconditional love is rooted in the idea that love is not transactional. It's not about giving in the hopes of receiving something in return. Instead, it's about loving freely, regardless of the circumstances or the other person's response. It's in the moments of rejection where it seems hardest to continue loving that unconditional love truly shines. Loving without condition means that our love doesn't falter when our children turn away, and it doesn't fade when they become distant. We give love because it's part of who we are, not because of what we expect to receive. In addition to offering love without expectation, unconditional love requires us to show patience. It's easy to become impatient with rejection, especially when it comes from someone we care about deeply. We may want to fix the situation immediately, to make our children see our point of view, or to somehow erase the pain of being rejected. But unconditional love teaches us that sometimes the best thing we can do is simply to be patient. Patience allows us to step back from the immediate emotional reactions of hurt or frustration and create space for healing and growth. It also allows our children the time and space they may need to process their own feelings. Rejection can often be a sign that our children are going through something internally that they can't yet articulate. Whether it's confusion, anger, or fear, patience gives them the space to work through those emotions without the added pressure of feeling like they have to respond in a certain way to our love. Patience also allows us to grow in our ability to love them in a way that meets them where they are. It's easy to love when everything is going well, but true love is tested in times of hardship. It's in moments of rejection that we have the opportunity to love our children in a way that respects their journey and allows them to grow without interference. By being patient, We acknowledge that our children are on their own paths, and sometimes that path requires them to pull away, to rebel, or to question everything they've been taught. It's difficult not to take that personally, but the beauty of unconditional love is that it doesn't depend on how our children respond to us. We love them not because they are acting the way we want, but because they are our children, and that love transcends their actions or attitudes. Unconditional love also means loving even when it's painful. It's easy to love when things are smooth, when the relationship is mutually fulfilling. But when our children reject us, the pain can feel unbearable. We may feel helpless, wondering if our love is not enough, or if we've done something wrong. But the essence of unconditional love is that it's not about us. It's about the other person. It's not about how we feel in the moment, but about showing up for our children when they need us most. The pain of rejection may feel overwhelming, but choosing to love in spite of that pain is what makes unconditional love so powerful. It's a commitment to stand by someone even when it's difficult, and to keep loving them when they cannot or will not love us back. This doesn't mean allowing ourselves to be mistreated or constantly being taken for granted. Rather, it means that we continue to offer love without expectation, with the knowledge that it will be understood in its own time. Our children may not always understand the depth of our love in the moment, but that doesn't make our love any less real or meaningful. The most important aspect of unconditional love is that it remains steady regardless of circumstances. Whether our children accept or reject us, our love for them remains unchanged. This unwavering love can become a foundation upon which they can return when they are ready. Even when they push us away, the love we offer becomes a constant presence in their lives, one that they may eventually come to recognize and appreciate. When we love without condition, we provide a safe and secure emotional environment for our children to explore the world, knowing that, no matter what, they will always have a place to return to, a place where love is not contingent upon their actions or behavior. In the face of rejection, unconditional love calls us to be selfless. It asks us to look beyond our own hurt and focus on the well-being of our children. It challenges us to put aside our own needs for affirmation and to focus on giving freely to those who need it most. By doing this, we not only transform our relationship with our children, but we also grow in our own emotional resilience. Unconditional love teaches us that, even in the most difficult of times, love is a choice that requires patience, understanding, and above all, persistence. It's in the moments of rejection and hardship that love has the greatest potential to heal. And it's through this love that we find the strength to move forward, knowing that our love is never wasted. Rejection is a deeply personal and often painful experience, and when it comes from our children, it can feel especially heart-wrenching. The emotional distress can make us question our ability to parent effectively or our role in their lives. We may wonder if we failed them in some way, or if they don't love us as we love them. These feelings are natural and valid. However, it's essential to understand that rejection from our children, while deeply painful, is not the final word on our relationship with them, nor is it a reflection of our worth as parents. Rejection can be seen as part of a larger process of personal and relational growth. It may seem impossible to view rejection in this way during the height of the emotional pain, but over time, it's possible to reframe the situation and see it as an opportunity for personal reflection and healing. First and foremost, it's important to acknowledge that rejection does not define us. In the heat of rejection, especially from a loved one, it can feel like our identity and worth are being attacked. But rejection is a temporary experience. It is not who we are as individuals. It is natural for us to be hurt by the actions or words of those we care about. But it's crucial to remember that our worth is not determined by the way others treat us. Rejection may sting, but it does not diminish our value. When we begin to see rejection as an isolated experience rather than a reflection of our identity, we can begin to separate our emotional well-being from the behavior of others. Our worth remains intact regardless of how others may respond to us. And it's important to continue nurturing our sense of self in ways that are not dependent on external validation. It's important to recognize that rejection is often not about us at all. When our children reject us, it is usually a reflection of their own internal struggles, not a condemnation of who we are or our efforts as parents. Children, especially as they grow older and navigate the complexities of adolescence or early adulthood, are going through their own emotional journeys. They may be dealing with pressures that we are unaware of, such as peer issues, identity exploration, or personal struggles that can manifest as rejection. This rejection is often not a rejection of us as people, but of their own need for space, independence, or emotional processing. As parents, it's easy to internalize these actions, but understanding that our children's behavior is often rooted in their own issues can help us detach from the pain of rejection. Instead of focusing solely on how we are being rejected, we can begin to focus on supporting them as they navigate their emotional challenges, while also giving them the space they need. While rejection from our children can feel deeply personal, it is also an opportunity for us to reflect on our parenting approach and assess how we can grow. Rejection can be a wake-up call that challenges us to look at ourselves, our actions, and our relationship with our children. It's easy to become defensive when faced with rejection, but instead of reacting with anger or frustration, we can ask ourselves questions like, how can I improve as a parent? Are there ways I can better communicate with my children? Have I been too overbearing or controlling? And is that contributing to the rejection I'm feeling? This self-reflection isn't about blaming ourselves, but rather about growing from the experience. It's a chance to look at our parenting style with honesty and humility and recognize areas where we might have room for improvement. Even though rejection is painful, it offers a rare opportunity to step back, reassess, and refine our approach to parenting. At the same time, it's important to recognize that growth doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from confronting it directly. Rejection from our children can feel like an emotional setback, but it can also be a powerful catalyst for personal transformation. When we confront the pain of rejection head-on, we open ourselves up to new levels of emotional resilience. We learn how to sit with discomfort, how to not take things personally, and how to navigate relational challenges with more patience and empathy. The process of accepting and learning from rejection strengthens our emotional intelligence, helping us to become better equipped to handle future conflicts or difficult situations. This growth extends beyond our role as parents and influences how we manage relationships with others in our lives. By choosing to embrace rejection as an opportunity for personal development, we can emerge stronger, more self-aware, and more capable of responding to life's challenges with wisdom and grace. Another key aspect of dealing with rejection from our children is understanding the importance of boundaries. While unconditional love is crucial, it's also necessary to establish boundaries in our relationships. We must recognize that while we should love our children unconditionally, we are not obligated to tolerate disrespect or emotional harm. Setting healthy boundaries is a way of protecting ourselves while still being there for our children. Boundaries allow us to love our children without sacrificing our own emotional well-being. When we give too much of ourselves without boundaries, we may end up feeling drained, frustrated, or resentful. By setting limits on what is acceptable behavior, we can maintain our own emotional health while still offering love and support to our children. It's also important to teach our children the value of boundaries by modeling them ourselves. When they see that we can love them without compromising our own emotional needs, it teaches them how to respect others' boundaries in their relationships, creating a healthier dynamic. Lastly, it's important to keep in mind that rejection from our children may not be permanent. Relationships are fluid, and the dynamics between parents and children can evolve over time. What may feel like a permanent rift today may change as our children mature and gain a deeper understanding of their emotions and the complexities of relationships. There may come a time when our children come back to us, seeking understanding, reconciliation, or simply the warmth of our presence. In the meantime, we must remember that rejection is not the end of the relationship. It's simply a phase in the larger journey of parenthood. Patience and persistence are key, as is the willingness to allow space for healing and growth, both for ourselves and for our children. In conclusion, while rejection from our children can be a deeply painful experience, it is also an opportunity for personal growth, self-reflection, and emotional resilience. By understanding that rejection is often about the other person's internal struggles rather than a reflection of our worth, we can approach the situation with empathy and compassion. By using rejection as a catalyst for growth and setting healthy boundaries, we can maintain our emotional well-being while continuing to offer love and support. Ultimately, the pain of rejection does not define us or our relationship with our children. It's a temporary experience that, when viewed through the lens of growth and opportunity, can become a powerful tool for strengthening our relationship and developing greater emotional intelligence. The idea of experiencing rejection from our children often evokes feelings of grief, sadness, and helplessness. As parents, we invest so much of ourselves into nurturing our children, guiding them, and offering them the best we can in terms of love, resources, and support. It's a vulnerable position to put so much of your heart into someone, only for them to turn away. However, despite the profound pain that comes with this experience, it's important to recognize that rejection is not necessarily an indication that our parenting has failed or that our love for our children has been in vain. Rather, it's an inevitable part of the complex and evolving nature of parent-child relationships. Children, especially as they grow older, go through developmental stages that often involve asserting their independence, challenging authority, and testing boundaries. Rejection in this context can be viewed as a part of their own process of self-discovery and autonomy. When our children reject us, it's vital to understand that it often reflects their own emotional or developmental needs rather than a personal indictment of who we are as individuals or parents. As children grow, particularly during adolescence, they may need to distance themselves from their parents in order to establish their own identity. They may be struggling with internal conflicts, peer pressure, or a desire to experience the world on their own terms. During this period, they might withdraw emotionally or reject our influence, but this behavior is typically not a reflection of the love or guidance we've provided them. It's a natural stage of development that allows them to explore their own emotions, beliefs, and values. Parents must recognize that this behavior is often about the child's growth process, not about their performance as parents.